It sort of rehashed old revelations with a new twist. As it turns out, we've apparently been wrong all along. Britain is a nasty, racist hellhole where only magnificent Meghan stood up to all this, and the world's biggest victim.
The California dream is officially going up in smoke. Prince Harry is... Make no mistake, this is not some casual trip back to his homeland. And the timing is absolutely disastrous. Right as Harry gets ready to run, we are not talking about innocent vacation snapshots or harmless, goofy party pictures. These are yacht photos, images showing her mingling in ultra-exclusive circles, the exact same shadowy world that completely ruined Prince Andrew and banished him. Now the prince who spent years burning down every single royal bridge is... This is the explosive Piers Morgan revelation that completely changed everything. Piers Morgan has never been the type to run away from a fight, but what he exposed, leaning forward with that classic smug look on his face, the one that tells you he is holding a... Morgan shared details that brought in over 57,000 complaints to ITV. The online outrage machine went into absolute overdrive with social media. Meghan Markle herself actually went behind the scenes to contact the network bosses. She did not go through official channels, and she did not use her high-powered PR team. Yet, as Piers himself pointed out with a smug grin, they could not cancel him. Simple, the mountain of evidence he has been quietly gathering for years is totally devastating. These yacht photographs place Meghan in very specific settings, environments that become... We are talking about solid proof of her attending exclusive Soho house launches. Essentially, social filler means attractive, charming people who are brought in to liven. They make the party feel vibrant, energetic, and welcoming. It is a job that private international flights, luxury yachts. She was constantly drifting through elite circles filled with billionaires and power brokers. This was not a one-off thing. It happened repeatedly across different continents over several... Back when these pictures were taken, Meghan Markle was just a supporting actress. She played a paralegal, a steady gig for sure, but definitely not the kind of role that pays a... People in the industry estimate her earnings back then were decent, but not that. A basic six-figure salary from a cable drama does not pay for jet-setting. It does not cover lounging on luxury yachts in the Mediterranean, staying at five-star Europe. The gap in the finances is simply too huge to ignore. How does where did the money actually come from? And who was opening the doors to these highly... Piers Morgan simply started connecting the dots that other people noticed, but were too afraid. The expensive lifestyle, the closeness to massive wealth, and hanging out in rooms... No one accused Meghan of actual crimes without proof. Instead, people did something far... They just remembered. They noted the inconsistencies, kept quiet, and waited. It simply stores the details, waiting for context to catch up down the road, holding a royal title, waving from palace balconies, and becoming one of the most... And then we have the Epstein-Maxwell factor. She is currently serving a 20-year sentence. Her vast influence has totally evaporated. Her future is now nothing but... Epstein-Maxwell was handed that 20-year sentence for her role in grooming young girls, and that is precisely what makes her so incredibly dangerous right now. People only stay quiet when silence actually works in their favour. When they still... But Epstein-Maxwell has absolutely none of those things left. Her freedom is gone, her reputation is permanently ruined, and she has nothing left to lose. According to several well-placed sources with ties to federal investigators, she is not giving vague hints or using careful coded language. She is naming that infamous Soho House connection is exactly where Meghan's world and behind the scenes. Soho House was much more than just a trendy private club for creative. In reality, these exclusive global spots acted as a secret bridge, linked fresh new money players rubbed shoulders with old-school aristocratic power. None of these gatherings were random. They were meticulously set up to feel electric and pure energy, perfect faces, a very delicate mix of beauty charm and absolute. Meghan Markle was flown across the world to fill those very rooms, bringing the exact... This is exactly where the story shifts. It goes from awkward gossip to dead... She was the very woman whose shocking testimony completely shattered Prince Andrew's public... During that storm, Meghan Markle's name almost ended up in court. Not as... They are simply individuals who might have seen something, overheard a conversation, or just based on legal strategies that surfaced during the discovery phase, investigators First off, she was living right here in the United States. That made legal jurisdiction. Second, she was reportedly quite close to Prince Andrew during the exact years when the worst. And third, she was allegedly running in Jeffrey Epstein's wider social circles. The lawsuit was settled out of court before it ever came to that. But the real blow was that seasoned federal agents with full subpoena power dug into Meghan's. You do not nearly get dragged into a federal sex trafficking case unless that incredibly close call should have been a screaming red flag for anyone. Instead, it got swept under the rug, completely overshadowed by non-stop wedding gossip. That avoided testimony starts looking like a bullet they only dodged for a moment. Welcome to Montecito Paradise Lost. As this yacht scandal blows, we are not talking about a single issue here. This is a massive multi-front. Montecito's ultra-wealthy elite have completely frozen Prince Harry and Meghan out. Dinner hosts who used to brag about having them over have quietly crossed their names off. Even the upscale cafes and local boutiques that once rolled out the red carpet are now, one resident put it bluntly, under condition of anonymity. They noted that locals value quiet privacy, discretion, and neighbours who actually give back. But they are simply not wanted here anymore. And while this social blacklisting is brutal, Netflix, the streaming giant that handed them a massive $100 million deal, top executives are absolutely furious that their big-budget content never met. Every project after that either bombed on arrival or got stuck forever in development. Insiders are whispering that Netflix is done giving Prince Harry and Meghan second. One Hollywood insider summed it up in brutal fashion. The numbers do not lie. Prince Harry and Meghan simply fail to deliver Then we have the massive staff walkout at the Archewell Foundation, which reads like a text. 11 highly experienced professionals, people who moved their entire lives. That list includes James Holt, the executive director who stood front and centre, but he only stayed long enough to realise the whole ship was sinking, leaving quietly. 7 months. In the high-stakes world of public relations, that sort of rapid exit and that financial squeeze crushing the Sussexes is getting far too big to hide. Keep in mind their Montecito mansion cost $14 million to buy. The incredibly lavish lifestyle they built requires non-stop massive cash flow. Their massive Spotify deal already imploded, ending with top boss Bill Simmons. Now Netflix is basically finished with them too. Big book deals and speaking gigs have evaporated. According to several reliable sources, Meghan is actively hunting for escape locations. She has quietly explored European countries, especially places offering sweet tax deals and tight privacy laws for wealthy elite. But here is the real issue that moving away cannot solve. Those yacht photographs. And look, the prison testimony of Epstein-Maxwell does not care what state you call home. Now we have this pregnancy controversy that just will not die. Because if that yacht scandal actually proves that Meghan built a highly managed public persona that completely clashes with those weird pregnancy inconsistencies that Morgan pointed out years ago are suddenly. The patterns look deeply disturbing when you connect the dots instead of seeing them as one with perfect hair and flawless makeup, cradling her newborns for the entire world to admire. That happened on 3. Indeed, she turned her pregnancy into a mystery novel where the plot seemed to shift wide, bringing nothing but confusion and deep suspicion to what should have been a joyful She moved with absolute exaggerated care, as though carrying some fragile cargo that. Then days later, sometimes within that same week, new photos would show her bump sitting in a completely different spot on her body. Honestly, those changing moves. In some video clips, Meghan walked quite gingerly, hands protectively wrapped around. Then suddenly, in other clips, from the exact same time frame, she is seen rushing. Look, we are not talking about the slow changes that happen over months as a pregnancy. One public appearance shows a woman so heavily pregnant she can barely move around comfortably. The very next day, she is basically performing gymnastics in 5-inch stiletto. These official papers supposedly tracked Meghan's appointments and daily movements. The real catch: hospital appointments were allegedly written down for the very days when Meghan was photographed. We are not talking about tight schedules that could be explained by a busy day. You cannot be in two places at once, and pregnancy timelines are definitely not flexible. Either those official documents were faked for some bizarre reason, or the public appearances. Neither option makes logical sense, and neither looks good for anyone involved. Then came the bombshell detail that forced even her most loyal supporters. Meghan had carefully let trusted palace insiders leak stories about wanting an The public easily accepted this perfectly normal request without a second thought. But then, May 6, 2019 arrived. Without offering a single word, not at home and not at the publicly expected location, but at a totally different hospital. No explanation was offered, and not one sentence came from palace staff about why. There was no mention of medical emergencies that would normally require a hospital, and no official. Just a heavy, highly suspicious silence that forced the public to start picking apart the exact Andrew parallel that terrifies Harry. Prince Harry knows exactly what went down with Prince Andrew because he watched it ruin his uncle. Remember, Andrew did not lose his status over simple tabloid gossip, wild internet He lost everything: his titles, his beloved patronages, his military. Once those photos were verified and victims spoke in depositions that became permanent legal, the fairy tale of the respectable prince fell apart instantly and completely, and not with PR statements written by expensive lawyers. It happens with Andrew became the ultimate warning story that other royal families study when things go. It is proof that institutional silence and clever legal maneuvering can shield until one person speaks under oath. Then that carefully constructed royal. The terrifying parallel between Andrew's disaster and Harry's ongoing crisis. Both men moved through high-flying environments where personal boundaries blurred, and Andrew was directly and specifically named in Virginia's sworn testimony. This created a permanent legal record that will exist forever, and Meghan was nearly the exact same legal proceedings that ruined Andrew almost dragged Meghan onto the same case, same victims, and same investigative team with subpoena power and access to. Harry knows the royal institution has powerful tools and protective resources that lawyers who specialize in making problems vanish quietly instead of letting them explode. These are professional fixers with centuries of institutional knowledge passed down. The entire royal system knows exactly how to absorb inconvenient pasts, and history provides several prime examples of this, which Harry has surely studied closely. Take Princess Sophia of Sweden. She has a highly documented history, but mainstream media outlets and polite society absolutely stopped talking about it. Or look at Crown Princess Mette-Marit of Norway. She publicly apologized. The royal institution simply moved forward, and the princess continues her official duty. But here is the critical, terrifying difference driving Harry's clear panic, and those powerful institutional tools and defense mechanisms only work before official. Once federal investigators start formally asking tough questions under oath, this is the question haunting everything. The massive question towering over this, the question that seems to be haunting Prince Harry as he frantically abandons Montecito. If Harry knew about those yacht appearances, and if he actually knew about the Epstein proxy, what if he was fully aware of the elite party circuits and the questions surrounding? Then he is deeply complicit in a cover-up that leaves him legally vulnerable, and if he married blindly, failed to do due diligence, or was misled about the woman he brought, suddenly he walked blindly into an absolute disaster that now threatens. Ultimately, that glossy fairy tale is definitively over. Either way, he desperately needs the exact same institutional protection. The system he claimed ruined his mental health, and the family that showed no support when that same institution is now his only real shield against what is coming. And because of that, the sunny California dream that was supposed to represent freedom and authenticity, the growing stack of evidence has become impossible for any reasonable person to ignore. There is Ghislaine Maxwell's testimony naming names, and Harry's panicked flight back toward, and those pregnancy inconsistencies that were never adequately explained. The pre-written birth announcements planned like corporate product launches instead of. Consider the total staff exodus from Archewell, which strongly suggests that working for the. And through it all, one key element stands out as potentially the most damning of all. Meghan's response to all of these serious claims has been absolutely nothing. There are no celebrity friends rushing to her defense with warm personal testimonials. Absolutely nothing. a shock for someone who regularly sued newspapers over stories of. She even personally called Piers Morgan's bosses in an attempt to get him fired for asking. This silence is absolutely devastating, because in the critical court of public, it reads as an inability to deny. It reads as a desperate Meanwhile, Harry's response has been even more damning, physically running straight back to think about it, the very man who built his whole post-royal identity on shielding his family. Meanwhile, highly detailed and damaging allegations about Meghan's past are spreading. If someone was spreading easily disproven lies about your wife's ties to the Epstein, wouldn't you unleash your lawyers immediately? Wouldn't you defend your partner's honour? A heavy reckoning. This pattern is now glaringly obvious to anyone paying attention. When shocking photographic evidence perfectly aligns with investigator files from years, when financial ruin matches up with total social banishment, the fairy tale making him deeply complicit in a massive cover-up with serious legal consequences, or he was completely blindsided, catastrophically deceived into a marriage, the monarchy might protect Harry because he is blood royal. After all, he is Charles and Diana's child. Protecting him shields the crown and preserves the monarchy. And right now, as Harry suddenly abandons Montecito and Piers, Morgan releases evidence that it is unfolding in real time as the entire world watches. The only real question is who survives when Epstein-Maxwell finishes talking because once statements are made under oath, they do not stay hidden. Those official, and when that day comes, when the testimony is recorded, the names are named, and the paper, no amount of running to other states or overseas, no tactical move to Texas or Europe, no ancient royal protocol can erase what has already been documented, photographed, and those ties to Epstein's world are on paper. The old investigator interest from the walls are closing in from all sides at once, and Prince Harry, who once completely free from royal rules and media harassment, is suddenly packing his bags and fleeing back to the very institution he spent. The big question defining the next chapter of this scandal is painfully simple. And who gets thrown to the wolves to protect the crown? Can Harry and Meghan's marriage
protect them both, or will someone be sacrificed? What happened?
Drop your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for fast updates as this story